On the 3rd of March 2017, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was released worldwide, and this game, this new, fresh Zelda game, changed everything for the series. The game had a huge focus on doing what the original Legend of Zelda was imagined to do, being a game that offers an open world adventure with no boundaries or stoppages. Just a freely open game where you can venture the vast landscapes of Hyrule and explore into the unknown whenever you like, discover the diverse communities whenever you like, take on the dangers and threats of the land whenever you want, and do whatever you want, whenever you want. Breath of the Wild got all of that spot on and pleased the majority of the Zelda fanbase. Record high review scores, record sales, additional content further down the line, and just such a good vibe from the fans regarding the game. All of that has raised the question, did Breath of the Wild peak the Legend of Zelda series? It's not a question I've heard many people ask, but definitely one that intrigues me. So let's try and come to a definitive answer on if Breath of the Wild peaked the Zelda series. Define the peak of a series. What does it actually mean for a video game series to peak? Well, the definition of peak in this case would mean to reach its highest point in, say, value. It could also be seen as the highest amount of enjoyment from a Zelda game, but of course that comes with debates and opinions. One fan may enjoy a playthrough of The Wind Waker more than a playthrough of Breath of the Wild. But what if we look at the peak of a series being a combination of every factor? The sales of the game, the enjoyment of playing the game, the replay value it offers, and of course, if it took the series a step forward. The main talking point here would be how Breath of the Wild revolutionized the series. This game broke everything that a Zelda game is, and then put it back together, but much better than it originally was. When you play through this game, it's a sensational experience. It ditched everything that made a Zelda game feel like a Zelda game, but somehow managed to retain the feeling of a Zelda game. It kept the iconic locations we all know, it kept the characters we know, the weapons we know, and many features we were already familiar with, but it just opened everything up. This was a huge risk from Nintendo's point of view, but it paid off massively. Fans adored this change to open world, and this led to some record high review scores. Breath of the Wild instantly made its way into the Metacritic charts for the all-time best video games. It's currently sitting in the top 15 games of all time. It's in there with games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, GTA 5, both of the Mario Galaxy games, and of course one of the most praised and loved games in history, Ocarina of Time. Along with critic reviews, the majority of the Zelda fanbase fell in love with this game. It changed many fans' favourite game to Breath of the Wild, as it was just that special. Some of the most notable parts of the game that fans fell in love with were the open world, the lore, and more debatably, the music, which I personally love and believe it was one of the best soundtracks for a video game in recent years. The game allowed you to take on the main quest whenever you like, something past games could sometimes force you into. Well, it was more like there weren't really many options of what to do other than the main quest in past games. In Breath of the Wild, on the other hand, it offered many side quests, from a few really big and in-depth ones to smaller, less fleshed out ones. Along with this, there was collectible quests like the Korok Seeds, the Hyrule Compendium, and of course the Shrines. These acted as small mini-dungeons scattered all across the map and all resulted in you getting a reward. They really helped to give exploring some worth, and to be honest with you, if you removed all of the shrines from the game, or say cut the amount in half, exploring the land of Hyrule would still be so worth it. The landscape is stunning. Now, Twilight Princess is my favourite game of all time, but I can happily admit that Breath of the Wild is by far the most breathtaking game of them all. You can climb mountains and venture a blazing desert, swim in the tropical waters of the Lurelin area, or take a trek through the snowfield of the Hebra region. There are so many places to visit in this game, and I promise you this, you will see so many breathtaking, stunning, and beautiful views on your quest. This game is worth it without all of the story and side quests, to be honest. I'd pay the price for this game just to explore and take everything in. The game has a monumental amount of content. Over 2 years on from the day this game came out, and I have clocked over 1,000 hours on the game, and that's only beating it once. I still find new things to this very day, sometimes even small little areas and crevices I missed before, and it's still such a joy to find them. Honestly, finding a new spot or area in the game feels like you've just beat it. It's an indescribable feeling that no game in my personal experience can deliver. Oh shit, it's a Zelda game too. I sometimes forget that this is a Zelda game. I get carried away with just exploring and roaming the unique landscape the game offers. Exploring in itself could be a standalone game, but oh yeah, there is also a Zelda side to this. The story and lore to this game is phenomenal, from a brutal and tragic attack from Calamity Ganon, to learning about Princess Zelda before the attack happened, to Link remembering that he pissed Zelda off.
And stop following me!
The gameplay itself feels so Zelda-like. You have the classic sword and shield combo, the option to pull out a bow and attack from a distance, or hell, spam bomb arrows if you like. That does the trick too. The game ditched the traditional item system known to Zelda fans, and to some degree that is a huge loss, but the Zelda team did really well to fill that gap. They introduced a massive inventory system with breakable weapons. There was a huge variety to choose from, and even weapons and armor themed off the races of Hyrule and the area that you're in. The series has never really seen such a diverse arsenal of equipment. They kept many familiar names and designs with the weapons and armor, which really helped to retain the feel of a Zelda game. The only real faults I can give this game is the way the story was delivered and the dungeons. Whilst the dungeons are more just my opinion, the story delivery is a big issue to most fans. The story itself is fantastic, don't get me wrong, it's the way it's delivered that can take away the impact. We get this story full of emotion and catastrophic events, but it's told 100 years late. Other than that, the game is a 10 out of 10 in my books. So the series managed to introduce so many new features and details whilst retaining the Zelda feel. That's a peak in itself, but the game has also set the standard for future Zelda installments. It has been mentioned many times now by the people behind the game that what Breath of the Wild created in terms of a formula will be the future of Zelda games. Breath of the Wild is now the most successful Zelda title ever. It overtook Twilight Princess as the highest selling Zelda game not too far into its lifespan. It also scored all of those record high review scores for a Zelda game, and that's not happened in some time. And of course, it won Game of the Year 2017. And very deservedly so if I do say so myself. It had some steep competition though, but when you look at how Breath of the Wild revolutionized the Zelda series for arguably the third time in the series' long-running history, that's simply amazing. For a series that has been running for over 30 years now, it is astonishing that it was able to reinvent itself for the third time in its history. This time topping everything that came before it. In the game's first 2 years, it managed to sell around 14.27 million copies on both the Switch and Wii U combined. To put that into perspective, the last home console Zelda game, Skyward Sword, sold around 3.41 million copies. Breath of the Wild has clearly won the hearts of the Zelda fanbase and has been considered as the new best Zelda game, taking the crown from Ocarina of Time. Whilst many would argue Ocarina of Time is better, which is a fair argument, the general consensus with the fanbase is that Breath of the Wild holds that crown now. In my opinion, Breath of the Wild evolved the Zelda series into what it was originally meant to be. Not to say all of those past games weren't meant to be, so to say, but this was the original vision for Zelda. If you take into consideration all of the advancements, changes, and new features this game brought in, whilst managing to retain the feel of a Zelda game, and have said game become one of the greatest of all time, I'd say that definitely was a new peak for the series, and potentially one that won't be topped for generations to come. Along with all of that, Breath of the Wild has made the Zelda series a lot more approachable for newcomers. I can't quite explain it, but if you were completely new to the series and were shown, say, Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild, Breath just looks more approachable, and is more approachable in my opinion. I think that is partly down to the open world aspect, as it allows players freedom and time to do whatever they want. It's a fantastic way to get into the series in my opinion. It retains what a Zelda game is, but is also very friendly to a newcomer, so if said newcomer enjoyed Breath of the Wild, then perhaps they would give Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess a go, and experience a Zelda game made to be a Zelda game. Not to say Breath of the Wild wasn't made to be one, but it does offer approachability in comparison to the majority of the series. When everything is taken into consideration, I believe it would be fair to say that Breath of the Wild did indeed peak the Legend of Zelda series. Of course, that is just my opinion, so be sure to voice yours in the comments. Thanks for checking out the video, I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know if you think Breath of the Wild peaked the Legend of Zelda series with its reinvention of the Zelda formula. I can't thank you guys enough for your support. As a content creator, I invest a lot of my time into working on these videos and ensuring high quality content. It makes me so happy to see your positive feedback, comments, and support. It honestly means the world to me. Another huge thanks goes to my Patreon supporters. Your support helps me run the channel and consistently release new videos. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, then check out my page and consider donating as little as $1 a month. Thank you. Again, I really hope you all enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.